Welcome to a very special edition of Fanlight Zone Presents. My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also the editor-in-chief here at FLZ. To my left, you're right at home. You know him every Wednesday from his comic reviews. He's also the head of 607 TWS, The Wrestling Show. Please give a warm welcome to Rich.
You know, we have possibly a lot of new friends tuning in and watching, and we are all appreciative of that. But it's always nice to have an old friend stop by to talk about some really cool stuff. So you're in for a treat here.
Yes, because we have a friend coming back on the show that has a monster, dare I say a savage 2026 lined up with not one, not two, but three releases dropping and another series out right now. He has so much going on. We're very fortunate enough that he has time to come talk to us. And the book that's going to kick this off is one that you need to get at the comic shops, lined up in your pull list, the FOCs. You circle the date on this for April 27th. You don't want to miss signing up for Only the Savage Are Left. And it is our honor and privilege to bring back the one and only writer of this fantastic book. Give it up for the one and only Zack Kaplan. Zack, what is going on?
Thank you. That was very good. Very good. Good to be back with you guys. This is, I think, is this number 2, the second time or third time?
I think it's technically the third time. So
yeah,
it's a charm, which, you know, listen, the more the
third
merrier.
Charm. Let's do it. Yeah.
Especially with all the amazing books you have coming out. And we're going to get into all of them. But the one that obviously caught our attention first and foremost is Only the Savage Are Left. How did this whole story come to be?
I've been kicking this idea around for a while. And, you know, I kind of, it started just with the idea of, I love zombie apocalypse stories and I love post-apocalyptic stories. You know, I love Walking Dead. I love Last of Us. And, you know, kind of wondered about that sort of story, one with monsters, which I thought gave it a little bit of a different flavor, and a few other changes that we decided to kind of put our own fresh spin on it. But it was, I guess, also me just trying to make sense of some of the things going on in the world today, and feeling like our relationship with monstrosity is very topical right now. And so I thought Monsters was a lot of fun, both thought-provoking and fun to explore. And I started to put the ideas together. Also, I think one of the big notable differences for this idea is that it's a story about a young man going through this experience. I think some of the other stories we've seen, like Last of Us or Walking Dead, follow more middle-aged men who are dealing with how to navigate. This is a guy who's, you know, early 20s, very young man, and trying to make sense of this world. And yeah, and then I had been talking to Stefano Raphael for years, I think, you know, just trading emails and talking about timing and talking about doing something. And I don't know if you guys are familiar, the listeners are familiar with Stefano Raphael, but he's a superstar artist. He's been doing DC stuff and Marvel stuff for years, everything from Batman Detectives to he's doing Captain America versus Alien. He's done so many cool things in the European market and the French market. And I said to him at one point, he said he had kind of an opening in his schedule. And I said, well, what would you want to do? And he said, I want to do a post-apocalyptic thing. And I was like, whoa, wait, stop right there. I have an idea I've been sitting on that I've been waiting for the right collaborator for. What do you think about this? And he loved it. And it was off to the races from there.
Oh, that's so awesome. Now that we know how the story came about, though, it's time for the famous elevator pitch. What is Only the Savage Are Left about?
It's a virus that has broken out into the world, and the virus will turn you into a monster. But here's the catch. Unlike in Walking Dead or Last of Us, where if you're bit, you're screwed.
Yeah.
There's a catch. We discover a cure, and we actually probably could have survived this outbreak, as gruesome as it was. It's the cure that really does this. And you see, if you kill someone that is infected with this virus and you burn their remains and inhale the smoke, which is very twisted, you can survive and you can stop the infection. So it basically pits us against one another. If you get infected, you have this horrible moral choice of what would you do to save yourself. And that just kind of opens up the whole experience. It's about this monster apocalypse. The world has been decimated. It's full of monsters, and it's full of men who have become monsters. And our young protagonist's name's Ryder, and he's tried to hole himself away for years and protect himself from not having to be violent, not being able to be a pacifist. the circumstances of the first issue force him to go out into the world, and he is going to go on an adventure that are really going to test his ideals and his morality. So that wasn't an elevator pitch at all. The elevator pitch is a coming of age Invincible style story in a Walking Dead with monsters. That's the elevator pitch.
Listen, it's okay to go into the longer pitch because
Yeah.
once again, peek behind the curtain. There will be no spoilers, but because of you, we've been so gracious to actually read it, and I think you nailed it all there.
Yeah,
and trust me, there is so much more involved that gave very little away, even though it sounded like a lot.
Trust us, you definitely don't want to miss this. It's a phenomenal read, and especially going into this on the creative aspect, Zach. What do you think is the biggest draw for you as a writer to dabble in the whole world of the apocalypse, like the zombies? Like what for you is the biggest draw?
There's lots of fun things. Like it's fun to create monsters and figure out what they're going to look like, and it's fun to kind of play with the dynamics of this infection. I think Stefano and I had a lot of fun doing all of that. From a narrative approach, one thing that I really was excited to play with is the story kind of is non-linear. It kind of jumps around in past, present, and future. That was a lot of fun to kind of play with that. And I think that readers, when they get the first issue, they'll kind of get a taste of it. And as the series goes, I think they'll really just kind of be blown away by that. And we kind of ask the readers to do a lot. We're kind of like saying, hey, we trust you guys. You guys follow nonlinear stories in film and TV. So here's kind of a nonlinear story in comics. And I think that was just for me a really fun challenge as a writer. So it's been a really fun experience to build this world and build this emotional story.
Speaking about the world, of course, another big part of the world is obviously the art. Stefano Raphael brings a very unique style with the artwork to the story. What I know you talked earlier about wanting to work with him, but what made him the perfect artist for this series?
I mean, the detail work is really fantastic. The post-apocalyptic work is really fantastic. Look, I think each one of the books I take on a lot, and I ask my artists to do a lot. And this, it's like, okay, can you draw a post-apocalyptic world? Can you draw monsters? Can you draw action? And then this is a love story too. It's a really kind of emotional story, and it's really important to have moments where we really are with this character Ryder and what he's going through, and can you really draw characters in an emotional way? I think Stefano does all of that. So I think that for me, that's what makes these pages so special. It's not just a great post-apocalyptic landscape, and there are moments where you just have him going through the world and you get to feel this post-apocalyptic landscape, and you have these moments of dread or of horror where these monsters are present, but I think it's the emotionality too, and the way he's captured this young man, Ryder. I don't know. It was. Anytime I do anything, it's really important to me that it feels fresh and modern. I want this to feel like a book that exists in 2026 and not something that could have existed any other time. And so I think that Stefano really brings that to the pages. And then, our colorist is Thiago Rocha, who is a colorist that I cannot quit. He did the Midnight Shadows with me, and I fell in love with collaborating with him. He's very versatile. He's done Masterminds. He's done Kill All Immortals with me, and he does a whole completely different style here. And one of the things I love about his work is he's very good at channeling kind of cinematic looks. And we looked at kind of different cinematic palettes, and we kind of decided that, and with Stefano, we all kind of said, okay, this is kind of it's almost like got a Western sort of like like the colors. There's a lot of oranges and yellows and very faded greens, and a lot of tans, a lot of like dried out colors. Like I think it all feels very, very dried out. And I really love the way that he's brought this really kind of, this palette that says something too, with Stefano's work. They worked really well together, and I think the pages are really kind of cool. And the reds pop, like the blood reds or the monster reds, like they pop. You feel it when red's there. And there's not a lot of purples or blues because it's just it's a red, yellow, and green book, and I like building a story, aesthetically in that way, and giving the artist the opportunity to really the style of the book that makes it unique. So yeah, very, very excited for readers to check out the pages. They're gorgeous.
To say, as it should be. The detail is amazing. The art is really, really, really good. Like, I mean, obviously the story is great too, but I mean, the
Right.
art is like
Yeah,
you're looking at it and you feel like you're in the world. Like it's so cool, so cool.
yeah,
And especially too, with like I said, without giving anything away, everybody needs to go buy this issue. We can't stress this enough. What you see in this, it really feels apocalyptic. It really has that sense of like society breaking down and all that transpires with it. And like you touched upon, the attention to detail. There is an image in this that definitely is going to stand out to readers. And it was one that when it hits, everybody's going to know it. And especially capturing that feel is so important to a story like this. But there's also a line that was in the press release for this too. And I think you dabbled in this into the book a little, and that is to survive, you need to become a monster yourself. Would you say that that's a genuine response to any crisis, or in this situation, like to survive a zombie apocalypse, like in that moment, you have to accept that you have to transform to survive?
yeah. I mean, I think a lot of these post-apocalyptic stories look at kind of morality, but I think no more than ever, kind of in our modern world, I think our relationship with brutality and savagery has changed. I think we see a lot more of it on television, and we're so numb to it, and we're so normalized. And I don't know that pragmatism or idealism works anymore. And I think this is kind of a very cynical commentary, but and I'm posing this question to the readers too, to come on this journey with me, ask this. But I don't know that if the world does break down and it's full of monsters and this kind of world, like, I don't know that you can survive by holding yourself away. I don't know that that's what the world needs. That I think the world needs us to engage, to stand up for what's right. And I think that perhaps violence and savagery, if you're met with it, I don't know that it's right to deny it. Like, you're facing monsters, so I don't know. So it's really just kind of yeah, I'm torn about it, but this is what the story is about, and this character is, you know, facing this kind of question, like what is required of him in this world, and can he maintain his ideals, and what will be lost as he goes on this journey and as he's tested. So I think it's complex. I if anyone's read my work, whether it's Kill All Immortals or Masterminds or anything, I love complex
Mhm.
stories where two people could read the issue the exact same way, and one could say Zach is saying this, and the other person could say Zach is saying that, and it's really tough to make the answer, but the question is clear. The question is, what are you supposed to do in the monster apocalypse when your very life and survival depends on you being bad,
Yeah.
being a monster yourself? What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I think that's just such a question, like you touched upon, like you dabbled in that a little bit with throwing the questions at the readers, and I think that's such a strong suit of your writing, and especially with this book too, because when you start putting yourself in writer's position and seeing what he is enduring, it really starts making you think like, what would I do in that situation? And to see like where his journey goes just with after issue one, like it's something that it's an instant hook that I think just is going to gravitate with a lot of readers.
Yeah,
Help you with that. You're kind of forced to become a monster just because of how the cure works.
Yeah.
Like that was ingenious alone, just being like, okay, so if you want to cure this thing, you have to do something that's unspeakable for most of us. So that kind of made it makes it even more interesting, because even if you want to be a holdout, you're kind of forced to do something that you don't want to do.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and I think that's interesting, and it's a little twisted, but I don't think that, for anyone who hears that and says, "Oh wow, is this book too twisted?"
No.
It's also, it doesn't go that deep in terms of body horror, or that go too deep in towards that. It just has this this question of, would you do something bad? And it's pretty bad, you know, but you'd have to kill someone and burn them and inhale their remains. This is gross. This is awful. But
Oh,
but of course, I think we'd all go, I can't turn into a monster. So,
Mhm.
yeah, and it's kind of about, we make these excuses to ourselves sometimes, to kind of defend when we want to do something bad. And you know, he's faced with all sorts of these kinds of challenges. So I think it's a really, you know, in all the other ones I've seen, you know, once you're bit, you're toast. You know,
Yeah.
you're toast. And the only real moral question is, if someone comes knocking and wants your land or wants your settlement, they want your resources, you know, what would you do? This makes the morality issue so much more connected to your survival right away. You know, your survival is dependent on you needing to do bad things. Only the savage are left. What are you going to do about it? And yeah, I think it really gives us an opportunity to have a provocative, dramatic story, all wrapped up in a fun monster
yeah.
apocalypse book.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, like, we're going to get to explore a post-apocalyptic world. We're going to see some crazy cool monsters. We're going to have some great action set pieces and exciting sequences. But underneath it all is this complex question. You don't know how it's going to end. What's he going to? Where's Ryder going? You know, in this story. And it's arrived. No pun intended.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said, because like, just from the first issue, it's not all like this horror, like horrible, like we're doing. That is like the background piece that makes it, that makes the story work and move. And I think that the couple things that is still that coming of age and love story that are in there that kind of grounds it, makes it more, you know, like, I shouldn't say palatable, because that's not the case. It's fine on its own, but it's more like, it makes you feel like, oh, this is what it is, and then, oh,
Mhm.
what would I do to go beyond that? And then the other interesting part, I think, that you did with that, before we move on, was that you did, you make it so they're not, you know, for lack of a better term, when you get bit in a zombie film, or when you get the rage virus, if we're talking, you know, the world of 28 days later, you are, for all intents and purposes, no longer human. You are dead. And
Right.
in this case, you're not. In
Yeah.
this case, you're infected. You become a monster, but you still retain human qualities. So you have to face that too. And I mean, I'm not going to give anything away, but when you realize that, it adds a layer. Like, you're not no longer a human. You are just, you know, for lack of better terms, yeah, let's use monster without spoiling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're monster-esque.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but you still are a human. Like I said, and
Yeah.
everything else, you're basically gone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the general zombie, and what makes it more easy to be like, oh, well, you kill a zombie because it's no longer human. In
Right.
this case, though, you're going up against monsters who are very much still human. They're just monsters.
Monsters. Yeah. It makes it more complicated. So yeah, I'm really excited for readers to dive into that. I think my favorite action stories are stories that still find a way to provoke you and say something. And so I think that will really, if you have that sort of itch, if you like a great action story, but you also like to have a cool character story and think a little bit about something like this, then I think you'll love this book.
Absolutely. So, switching gears, but staying with not spoiling anything here,
Yeah.
because we just keep spoilers off the table. And this is something that you do a lot in your writing. As somebody who reviews your writing, I
Mm.
always love the fact that you have characters that you can feel. There's always a character in a book, or multiple characters,
Yep.
depending upon who you gravitate towards, who you can feel like that's who I relate to, or that's who the quote unquote, we'll call it, star is. Is there a character that you think in the book that is going to be a breakout star, much like Frey and Kill All Immortals, or anyone that surprised you when you were writing them? Like, when you first started writing them, you were like, oh, this character is just there to do X, Y, and Z. But as you wrote them, you were like, you know what? This character has now become my favorite.
So Ryder is our protagonist, our main protagonist, but there's kind of a secondary protagonist, and we follow her as well a little bit, and that's Ryder's love interest. Her name is Oakland, and she kicks ass. She's awesome, and
Mm.
she's the complete opposite of Ryder, and I think that's why they work and they love each other, and they're drawn to each other. But he's a pacifist, and she's a, you know, ask questions later kind of
Mhm.
girl. She's been surviving for years, and she just does what needs to be done. And I think she's an awesome character, and you get a glimpse of her in issue 1, but I think that as readers get to know her a little better, they'll love every page she's on. She's just dynamic and really cool. And I think it's also a really and this is another layer that I love about this book, is it's kind of a Romeo and Juliet story, because you don't know if they can work. Like they could work because they're different, but then you don't know if they can work because they're so different. Like she is someone that's going to do whatever it takes to survive, and he is someone that is not sure he can live that life. So how do those two people be together? And so, no spoilers, you're going to be left wondering, is this about them overcoming it or not? Is this a tragedy, or what is this story? And so, I think it's a really fun dynamic to it. But she's awesome, and every time I write a page with her, I have a great time, and I think readers will love to get to know her as well.
I was gonna say, when I saw her in the book and reading it, it reminded me of Roddy Piper and They Live. Like the line that kept coming in, the scene in the bank where he's like, "I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum." And that's kind of like when you said, like, she does she goes at it and then asks questions later. Like that's perfect. And it's like, really, she's such a badass character, but you also get the feeling just from the first issue that there's more depth to her as well too. Like there's something else there.
Yeah.
Whereas it's kind of an interesting back and forth. It's kind of like, it's great because you can, from a first issue, you can sense their character development coming like you would not believe. With everybody, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, there's another character I can't really say anything about. You guys got to read. There's a third kind of pivotal character, but I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm going to leave that guy to readers to discover as they get into it more. ...
To be continued later when people read it.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, that's the best way to leave them wanting more. And trust us, after you read Only the Savage Are Left, you're definitely going to be asking when issue 2 is coming out. Trust us. But we have to get to some other books. But before we do, I have to throw one more question at you involving the zombie apocalypse. And that is, what is your favorite apocalypse story of all time?
If it's not just zombie apocalypse, but it's favorite apocalypse. Oh, I'd have to go with Mad Max, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Mad Max is over Fallout. Mad Max is, I love Walking Dead and Last of Us, but just a post-apocalyptic story. I feel like I got to go with the classic Road Warrior. That's pedal to the metal for me. So that I'd say that. Talk about Only the Savage Are Left. Mad Max is full octane on that. I think we tried to channel a little bit of that in here. There's a taste of that. Like if we're making a stew, there's like 10% Mad Max in this. You'll see later on. There's a couple bad guys that have that energy.
Yeah, there's a small scene in it. In issue 1. No, like we say, no spoilers.
I'm not giving anything away, but there's definitely a scene that gives you the Mad Max feel.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is a scene.
Yeah,
which is a good appetizer for what's coming next.
That's right.
There you go. More teasers. I know people at home are like, you guys are teasing. Like we have to, because we don't want to spoil the book for you.
Well, because this book is that good. We want you to have it and have that experience, and then hit us all up about it and talk about it, because trust us, there is a lot more to this book that we can't get into. We want to, but we want you to experience it, because like we said, Zack has a loaded lineup this year. And I know Rich is waiting to talk about another book he has coming out.
Yeah, let's change gears now. We can. It's gonna still be kind of teasing, but this one at least we haven't read, so we don't have to try to keep ourselves quiet on it either. So one of the other books that is announced to coming out this year is the Smart Division. That's coming up on the horizon. What can you talk about this book right now? Obviously, we're not at release yet, but what
just a couple months later, August, top of August. I don't know if anyone out there has read my Vault Comics book Mindset with John J. Pearson, but this was about mind control. And I think this was one of the best books I've ever written, for sure. I'm really happy with Mindset. And John and I just connected in our love of pushing the comics form to tell a story and kind of really mess with the readers as we do so. And we've been talking for years about doing another one, and that is the Smart Division. And it's kind of, we are continuing our love of kind of technology-esque sci-fi thrillers, and we wanted to look at AI in a completely different way than everybody else is looking at it, because everyone else is looking at AI as, is AI going to become sentient? Is AI going to take over the world? What threat is AI use? And we just wanted to know, hey, in 5 minutes from now, when AI upgrades just a little bit more, what's going to happen when people start using AI to commit the perfect crimes? How is the Justice Department, how is law enforcement going to possibly keep up when anyone has an app that can tell them how to commit the perfect murder and evade law enforcement in any way they want? Right now, our chat GPTs have safeguards that won't let you do that. But what happens when those safeguards are off? And this is about the very beginning of that. It's about the first 2 FBI agents that are tasked with having to track down a killer using the perfect AI crime app. And they will be obviously the first 2 agents to start the Smart Division at the FBI, and which is why it's called the Smart Division. It's sci-fi True Detective. It's kind of X-Files, but 5 minutes in the future in terms of, it's nothing aliens or supernatural. Like, this is a very smart, edgy, grounded sort of Fincher-esque thriller, and it's awesome. I cannot wait for readers to see. We've been hard at work on it. It's playing with form. It's really kind of inventive in the way we're kind of trying to approach the storytelling. The 2 main characters are super cool, and yeah, we're excited to unleash this in a few months.
My kind of story. I just want to throw it out there. Just my kind of story.
I love crime stories like this. So this is right up my alley. And especially with, you got John J. Peterson doing the art, which if readers, if you haven't seen his work, oh my God.
Yeah,
like
he's done In Bloom, which was a Boom book, and he did Infernals, which is
Yep.
an Image book, and he's just amazing. He won an Eisner for Ron B's Blue and Green. He collaborated on that book a couple of years ago, and I'm sure he has more Eisners in his future. He's phenomenal. Yeah, he loves to play with like over rendering or under rendering, something very Bill Sienkiewicz or Martin Simmons is another artist that's doing this kind of thing, and kind of McKean sort of qualities at time, and yeah, just absolutely phenomenal stuff. And you brought up, Ken, like a great crime thriller. That's what makes this has such potential, because the thing about a great crime thriller is you're always asking, how will the detectives catch and outsmart that smart criminal, right? They always have a smart criminal, and you go, well, we know they're going to do it, but how are they going to do it? Like, that's the fun of seeing if they can crack the smartest crimes. But what do you do when it's AI level smart? Like, how on earth do you catch an AI criminal? Like, it's impossible.
Yeah, like how do you catch the perfect criminal? Like that's an amazing hook for the story.
Yeah, how do you catch the perfect criminal? That's right.
Yeah.
That is a great hook. But you know what's weird? What popped into my mind when we were talking about this, because like you're like, oh, it's in 5 minutes in the future, so it's it takes place relatively close. I was thinking back of, remember when you could ask Siri where to hide a body?
Could you
And
really?
Siri would tell you.
Yeah.
Like, and now obviously if you ask Siri's like, I can't. I used to know the answer to that. I don't anymore. It's like that, but not the next level, like you were saying. So it's like very still relatable, because there was a time when you could ask Siri that, which I know it's very rudimentary, and you would get an answer.
This is I am 100%, after researching this book. I'm sorry to tell everybody this. I am 100% sure that 10 years from now, this book will be a reality. Like, this is inevitable, because AI, sure, you can get ChatGPT and Gemini, but there are other AI models all over the internet that are becoming more and more prevalent that people can use and modify and take off the safeguards. And it is only a matter of time before people start to try to use these AI to plan bank robberies, to plan murders, to it allows you to do the worst possible thing you could ever think of. And it's a scary thought. But it is 5 minutes in the future, and I think it just makes for such a compelling crime thriller, because it's both horrific, but also you have to read to find out, well, what is the answer? How do you catch the perfect criminal.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. You're not gonna want to miss it for sure.
No, you're definitely not going to want to miss it, and especially like how fast that's evolving too. Like I say, it's very now in the theme in which, like I say, it's scary to think like what that potential is going to be in 5-10 years, and like it messes my head up a lot.
Yeah.
But to go back to the story though, and especially you reuniting with John, what is the biggest changes, if any, creatively between your collaboration process with him?
I think we're just building off everything we got with Mindset. At the beginning of Mindset, we were still feeling each other out. By the end of Mindset, we were collaborating even before the scripts were written. I would even pitch to him story, and we would talk about how we're going to lay it out, which is not common for writers and artists. But we were over communicative about the ways to use the form, and so I think we're just building on that. I think we're building on one of the themes of the book is kind of inevitability and decay, kind of what's happening in our society and our civilization, and is this kind of decay and the replacement, the technology taking over as humanity is falling apart, and I think we kind of take those kinds of themes and really try to infuse that into the art and make it feel like you're seeing that at every twist and turn in the aesthetic, in the artwork. And so I think we're just building off of this kind of natural understanding of each other that we developed in Mindset. And so I think readers will continue to really get quite an immersive kind of experience in comics form with this book. So kind of what we're excited about. I don't think we're doing anything new as much as just we're kind of coming up with new little devices here or there, but I think we're just building on how can we take the themes of the story and make the artwork completely reflective of those in ways that the reader will feel, not just see.
Liking it. Well, when the new projects you got listed off from Dark Horse got announced, there was 3. And of course, we saved the last one. And the last one is somebody who is not doesn't just review your books, but I'm also a huge fan of. The last one, I guess, would be the one that I think makes people sit up in their seats, because that would be Kill All Immortals. Of course, Kill All Immortals 3 is going to be launching in October. However, before we get to Kill All Immortals 3, there is the finale of Kill All Immortals 2. And so what can you tell us about the upcoming finale and how that's going to lead into the 3rd chapter of Kill All Immortals?
We just dropped Kill All Immortals 4, and the tension is thick, as you would want. I don't want to give too much away, but this arc from the get-go was about pitting Frey and her family against insurmountable odds, and I think every issue just kept getting worse and worse for them. And now, they're going up against Genghis Khan. I think I can say that they're going up against Genghis Khan and his family, and it's going to be awesome. The finale is going to be well worth the wait, and it's complicated as a great finale should be. And I can't wait for readers to check it out. I think that it also was really great because we knew that we were also using this finale to set up the 3rd arc, and so there's an opportunity to give this season closure, but to set up the continuing drama for Frey. And I think that I first got into comics, and I got fortunate enough to actually do some longer form stories. Eclipse and Port of Earth were my first 2 books, and they both went 4 and 3 arcs respectively. And I love taking a character's story with that much time, because you really get to pull the characters so far away from where they started and really test them. And I think that that's the great thing about Frey. She starts off as this girl who is just, even though she's an immortal and probably 1,000 years old, she's tried to wash her hands of all this. She's been isolated from the family business, and she knows how to kick ass, but she has never really been given the agency or the opportunity to be influential. And she kind of never really wanted that. She wanted to just be removed and stay true to her ideals and be an ordinary person. And the events of the past, 10 issues have really forced her to face all sorts of danger and kind of accept her agency, but it's testing who she is. And so it's just a great character story, and I'm really excited about what we're building towards. But for sure, the finale will not disappoint. I know some readers were blown away by issues 3 and 4,
Mhm.
and we try to keep the twist coming. We try to keep the excitement coming. It's not This is a series that's not allowed to have a pause in the pages. It's gotta just be go 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 from the get go. So yeah, we're very excited about the finale.
Oh, listen, if you are not reading Kill All Immortals, you're doing
Yeah,
something
you're
wrong.
screwing something up.
Because,
Yeah.
like, I listen, and you weren't lying there. It literally, I don't know how you keep that going, but it is literally every page there is something, every page going on. And like one of the things, just as a fan, do not touch on this because I don't really want it spoiled. One of the things that I kind of compare Kill All Immortals to when people are asking me, especially with the Frey character, is it kind of feels almost like The Godfather. Like you go to The Godfather and you have Michael Corleone who doesn't want to be part of the family business, and then throughout kind of gets kind of pushed into it because of circumstances. And then your question with her is always, is she going to like take it on completely, or is she still going to fight against it? And that is like one of the coolest things to see the whole story arc as it plays out, because you're kind of always on that precipice of which way is she going to fall, because she is a badass, so
Mhm.
she can get it done. She's very capable of being the baddest person on the planet if she needs to be. But at the same time, there's still something in her where it's like, do I really want this? And it's kind of it's an amazing, like, so it's not just action for the sake of action. There is a lot of heart in it.
You're gonna love the finale, Rich. I can't wait for you to check
Ah,
it out. Yeah, well, I think one of the things that works really well is we've given her a lot of antagonism across the board. Like, not only does she have the cons, there are other immortal families in the second season that she
mhm.
is partnered with, but up against, and are problematic. And if you read the last issue, you know that she actually has more threats coming at her. And then she has a fractured family. She's got this fractured relationship with all of her brothers, not to mention her father,
Mhm.
who can't be trusted and is power hungry as well. So she literally is surrounded by enemies, and she's just trying to do the right thing. And that really keeps the energy of the series alive. And looking now, okay, season 2 was, how do we step this up even more in season 3? Like, how much more can we throw at her? Oh, it's gonna be so good. So
I cannot wait. Like,
yeah.
this is not just like the what we do here and reviewing and interviewing,
Mhm.
which is all cool and it's fun. Like the fandom of it, like I can tell you, I'm excited every time. It's like the time for like, it's like I get that mailer from Dark Horse, and I look in and I'm like, ooh, it's Kill All Immortals this week, and so then like I'm like instantly like I sit there, and it's one of those things. It's one of those books that I do not review. I read right away and do not review right away, and the reason being is I sit back and I enjoy it like as a fan, and then I go back and go, okay, now I have to, because I have to take myself out of it, because I find myself, if I listen, I'm going to be honest, if I was to review any issue of Kill All Immortals as soon as I'm done reading it, it would be a 10 out of 10 every time. And I'm not saying you don't deserve that. I'm just saying, like, there'd be no way to actually be, because like you come out of reading that and you're like, let's go. And then okay, like I have to like take a step back from myself because it's that amazing.
The
Look,
peek the peek behind the curtain is I usually get a phone call right after he's done reading it. He's like, "Did you read it?" I'm like, "No, not yet." "Oh my." He's like, "I need to talk about this right now."
It's
I
great.
love it. I
It's
love it.
just tremendous.
Yeah.
We're really proud. I'm really proud of it. I think everybody, that's the whole creative team, is really proud of this book. And it's got a lot of things that just work really well. She's a rebel against the
Mhm.
system. This is a system of immortality. This is a system of of people acting like gods and wielding power and violence freely. And we can all get behind someone that wants to tear all that down. We can also all get behind somebody that is trying to be a good person and not succumb to the barbarism themselves. And then the irony is, she can't do both. She can't rebel and tear it down and maintain her own. How do you do that without being a vicious badass too? And so I love when there's an emotional dilemma in the middle of an action sequence. This is not just about beating the crap out of that guy and getting to the elevator. Every time she does something, it means something, and I think that that really helps drive that story. And I think the other thing I'm really excited about is season 3 is our last season. We're gonna end it. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Sorry, Rich. But I think that gives me the opportunity to really write the second season and the third season with such consequence, with such, we know exactly where we're going and how we're going to do it and what we're going to like. It's going to be so fulfilling at the very end, but at the same time it's going to be nerve-wracking getting there. And I just think that's the best kind of story, and I think that it helps to know that we're ending. I think if we were to like maybe end, maybe not end, then maybe we wouldn't give it the teeth or that it deserves. So I think that, it feels right to end it here with 3 great volumes and have a great trilogy to this series. And yeah, of course you can save this clip for years to come when I'm fortunate enough to like turn this into a TV show, and then I go print 50 more of these, and it's like, Zach, you said you were done with this, and I go, what did I know? No,
you can save this clip. I promise I would never question you on that. You would be like, oh well, now that it's back in the pop culture thing, I'm gonna do more, and I'm gonna be like, yes, who cares? Who cares that you said you were gonna get rid of it?
Yeah,
bringing it back.
I would totally.
I will rejoice in the streets.
There will be an audio dub that we're not done. Like you'll hear something like that. We'll just redo.
I'll redo it. It might even be ridiculous. It might just be my voice dubbing over your voice and be like, he never said we were finished.
Yeah,
never said it. Never. But to steal it for just 2 seconds and make it about because some topical, and I always love to throw the pro wrestling thing in there because this is be topical around the time this is coming out for wrestling fans. I do have faith that Frey knows how to swim, so she can gleefully stand on that bridge while she blows it up. I'm just going to throw that out there. So salutes to CM Punk for that great line.
Yes.
That's good.
But that's not the only finale you have coming up. There's another series. That's what we say. There's 4 series right now coming your way via Dark Horse Comics. We got to give a shout out to Dark Horse. And that is Masterminds.
Yes.
So obviously that finale's got a lot going on. What can we talk about that?
Yeah, it's a really a lot of fun because Masterminds and All Immortals 2 have kind of been on the same journey together. So I'm really excited to be bringing them both to a finale. And yeah, I mean, Masterminds. If you're not reading, it's about the gamification of success. It's very kind of Squid Games-esque in the real world. And it's about a secret society that will open any door imaginable for you to help you succeed. You just have to be smart enough to pass their series of riddles and challenges. And it follows a young, ambitious, and kind of flawed programmer that succumbs to their night of games. And he's playing their game to gain entry into their society. But he doesn't know if what's real. He doesn't know what's really going on. There's a lot of layers of manipulation and twists and turns, and who he can trust, and then it all kind of culminates in the end. And obviously I can't give anything away, but I think that readers will be very satisfied by the conclusion. But it is definitely a fantastic thriller conclusion. Yeah, it's gonna be great. For sure. I think there's a lot of people who have been reading it who are like, I have no idea what to expect. But
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think you'll read it and you'll go, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. But you have no idea. So that's my favorite kind of thriller where you don't know and then it happens and it's like, oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, I'm going into this completely like I don't know how this is gonna end. I have no idea, but I am hooked on this series. I love this series.
I'm so in, and I just want to point out Edward is probably the greatest like asshole character that you ever want to meet, because you want to yell at him about his decisions, but then you're still kind of, there's some weird part that you still hold out hope. like it's a weird, like I'm holding out hope, but like it seems to be like getting thinner and thinner.
It's great because like the Masterminds are kind of they're nefarious. This organization is clearly, you know, they're self-interested. They will use anybody for their own aims. And they're asking him to be the same, and he's going for it. So it's like, who do you root for in this situation? But then they're both telling everybody who's reading it, they're both telling us the truth about the world, which is this is the way the world works. And if you think the world works by you do a good job and you pay your dues and you're a good person, and eventually all the success you want will just come and get handed to you, think twice. That's not how the world works. And we kind of all go, yeah, we secretly know that. So it's really just a wish fulfillment story about would you be how far would you go? Like, if you could take those moral guardrails off and you could do anything to find success and get ahead, how far would you go? What would you do? And so it's great to look at a flawed character like that, because we also kind of are rooting for him, and it's kind of fun to root for the guy who's decided to say F it, and I'm gonna go for it. So yeah.
I think that's something that you really tap, like with different writers, you have different things that people tap into. Obviously, one of the big strong suits for you, and I think that draws me to your writing, is you have this really amazing ability of like tapping into things that are in each and every one of us. Like the way that you explain that is perfect. Like, how far will you, you know, if you know success is there, will you go that extra mile? You know, when you're talking, when you're going back and you're talking about only the savage are left, are you willing to do whatever necessary to survive? When you're talking about kill all immortals, are you going to find a way to stay true to yourself, or are you going to take, you know, the step, albeit necessary, to like make sure that your family and yourself, you know, survive, if you will? There's always seems to be this really cool human element story in all of your writing. I think that's why I enjoy it so much, because it really does make you look at yourself introspectively. Like, you look at Edward, and even though I said he was an asshole, you look and go, well, if I was promised that, could I do that? Could I go that far? You look at like Frey, and you're like, if I had the power in front of her to be immortal, to have money, to have power, and to not have to worry about dying, could I truly give that all up? Could I be that good of a person? Or would I backtrack on it? Or would I be like, you know, some of the other members of her family, or their foes? It's really kind of like that, really cool. Like, you have a way to like make the reader introspect on themselves.
You know, so it's interesting. You know, being a comic creator, and you write all these different kind of characters, and I'm just writing what's coming to me. But then as years go on, I look back on it, and I can't help but talk to guys like you who point out the similarities or point out these things. And I kind of go, oh yeah. And I've come to realize that, you know, this is in my DNA from my whole life. So I grew up in the Midwest first. And I was a kid in the 80s and 90s in cornfields, Iowa. I connected to Spielberg sort of movies, you know, E.T. and Goonies and all these kind of movies. So like, there's this like, be a good person kind of Midwest sort of like kid inside me. And then I get to like, I grew up in North Florida for my adolescence, but this was also when I found all the more complicated kind of sci-fi stories like Blade Runner in 2001 and all these sorts of things. And then as I became a young man, it's like realizing that the world is changing on me, that the world I grew up with in the 80s and the 90s, what is happening right now? The world is moving so fast. It's madness. It's chaos. What are we supposed to do about this? So existentially, every single one of my stories seem to revolve around a character facing a world gone mad and asking, who am I supposed to be in this world, and how am I supposed to act? So whether it's Edward or Frey or Ryder or any of these characters, I just love these sorts of existential questions about our relationship with the world, and how are we supposed to maintain our ideals or morals, or what are we supposed to do that's required of us, and how far will we go? I mean, these are kind of my burning questions that I just love putting into completely different stories. I mean, Masterminds and Only the Savage Are Left couldn't be more different in terms of the characters and the genre and everything. But at the core, they're kind of these same kind of questions, which is just like, how are we supposed to be? How are we supposed to be in this world? So yeah, it's something I love to explore.
And like I said, it's everything is you can kind of dumb it down, but everything is so different and so amazing. Like we said, right now we're talking 4 great stories. You have Kill All Immortals, chapter 2 out now. You have Masterminds now finishing up. We of course Kill All Immortals chapter 3 will be coming out in October, but then we have the Smart Division, of course. The 27th is what I was getting to, is Only Savage Are Left. So make sure that's the first one up. Make sure you get that one. Then make sure you order Smart Division. Then make sure you get the trade paperback of chapter 2 of Kill All Immortals, which is in August, because you're going to want that if you didn't read it already, because why haven't you read it?
Yeah.
And then you make sure you FOC that when that comes out as well. So there you go. Now I covered all the FOCs. And but with that, all of them are, we've known you for doing a lot of sci-fi work, and obviously, mixing sci-fi with other genres, because obviously, every one of them is a mixture in. Which of the new projects was the biggest challenge for you to create?
That's a good question. Only the Savage came out, despite the challenges for that book. That really flowed out of me. That one was ready to go. I had a really easy time writing that world, and I had fun writing that kind of nonlinear stuff. But that one really came smoothly. The Smart Division is challenging and exciting, but I don't think that I faced. I think that one is coming rather easily as well. Of the 4 titles, I would say Masterminds has been one of the hardest ones, because I don't want to over explain things. And so it's really important for me in that series to make sure that the manipulations that are going on are subtle enough that I'm kind of asking the reader to do a lot. Like, suddenly he goes into a location and the location's completely changed, and I'm just asking the reader to realize that there was a manipulation that took place, but I'm not going to explain it. But I think that all the game pieces and all the different interpretations of what could be going on, layering that all on top of each other and making sure that it all makes sense, that was challenging. that was challenging. Yeah, Frey is she's just fun. It's just great. I know that family really well at this point. Coming up with the story for Kill All Immortals 3, it's only just been a question of how far can I go and how much room do I have to give as much as I possibly want to give. But it's not a challenge there. That one is flowing and feels really exciting as well. So they're all, I love all 4 of them. They're all scratch different itches. But in terms of, as a writer, of getting on the big board and making sure that everything tracks, Masterminds was probably the most challenging.
It's such a great book.
Yeah, it's so layered in, like, its structure. Like I say, you definitely see it, and it's a hell of a read too. Like I say, with all the books that we've had come out.
And we haven't mentioned stuff. Stephen Thompson is my artist on Masterminds, and it's a masterclass, man. The level of detail that he puts into every page is just insane. It's so moody. I love it so much. And all the, like, we pause. If you haven't read it, some of the puzzling is kind of immersive. There's some moments where you'll stop and, like, we actually kind of lay out a challenge or a puzzle in an interesting way. And so he does such a great job with all that.
Yeah, it's so deceptively detailed, but it's amazing. Yeah. Like I say, it just adds so much to that story as you're following Edward and what he's doing there. That, yeah, like I say, if you haven't picked up Masterminds, make sure you do that, along with ordering all the FOCs. Zach, we got one last question for you.
Let's do it.
This is the year of the crossovers, as you see. Like, DC and Marvel are teaming up. We have Spider-Man and Superman working together and such.
Yeah.
If you had to take a character from one of the books we mentioned tonight and swap them into another series, who do you think would excel more?
In my own 2 series?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't think Frey would do very well in Only the Savage Are Left either. It's the same conflict she faces. She doesn't want to be savage, so she wouldn't do very well in that. I think that Edward would do the best in Only the Savage Are Left. He'd be fine. He would survive all right. He would do what was necessary to survive the monster apocalypse. So I would put that. I think Ryder wouldn't do very well in Masterminds. We haven't given a much away for Smart Division, but one of the younger lead, her name is Stevie, and readers will get to know her. She kicks ass too, and I love writing kick-ass heroines, and she would do great in Masterminds for sure. So I might move everybody around a little bit, but I guess if I had to do a straight swap, I would do Edward and Ryder. Sorry, Ryder, he's got to deal with Masterminds, but Edward would survive the monster apocalypse.
I was gonna say Edward's pretty much going to survive any of the situations.
Yeah,
because if we know anything, he will do whatever's necessary to get the job done. There is no end to that. So I don't think he would have any problem becoming the monster.
Yeah.
At all.
It's what makes him great. Along with all these other stories, if you're watching on YouTube, every FOC for every book we mentioned tonight is up on the graphics. If you're listening in podcast form, it's in the liner notes. This is the year of the Savage. We're just going to call it out there right now because Zack has amazing stories coming out for the remainder of 2026. You need to get all of them in your pull list. You need to make sure you're reading them and definitely spread the word about him because everything he's been writing has been knocking it out of the park left and right. Kill All Immortals is an amazing book. Masterminds blows me away every time I pick it up. I am super excited to see where Only the Savage Are Left is going. And that's only the tip of the iceberg for what we got coming the rest of 2026. Zack, thank you so much for coming on the show. We definitely have you back on sooner than later.
Thank you.
And my wallet says not thank you because my wallet is lighter because of the amount of money I spend on the works.
I'm sorry, wallet.
You should know. Everybody should go out of their way because I mean this as a fan. Everything is fantastic. And
I'll say one more thing real quick. You guys have probably talked about it a little bit, but indie comics is having quite a great year and quite a boom. But this stuff is selling out. All these series are selling out. So I'm excited to be releasing indie comics at this time in comics, but do not think that you're going to stroll into your comic shop and get these books. They're gone.
Yeah,
they're gone.
Away. Make sure you're on.
Yeah, you gotta email your shop and just say, save me one, because it's not going to be there on Wednesday.
Yeah, the FOC is so important, and now more than ever, because books are selling out faster than anybody's realizing. And it's an amazing thing to see, as a consumer, because we love seeing comics getting sold out. We love hearing about big sales because that just means more creators are getting an opportunity to express in this medium that we love. This is the base of all pop culture. And to see it grow in sales, it just means more books are going to come out, more creativity, and it's going to trickle down to TV shows, the cartoons, the movies. It's just nothing but a big bucket of wind, but that's what makes the FOCs so important.
Absolutely. And I promise I won't get on the soapbox as we do champion this a lot, but this is one of those times where, like, we're talking about an industry that is doing well, especially in the indies. Comics are. So support the indies, support all of the great creators who are making some amazing things, because there's across genres, is across the board. A lot of times people are like, oh, I used to love this X, Y, and Z like kind of story. Well, they're doing it in comics. I promise you, every genre you can find, whether it's crime, whether it's true crime, whether it's horror, whether it's comedy, whether it's some kind of family event, no matter what you can find it in comic books right now in the indies. And guess what? Other people are finding it too. And that's a beautiful thing. But the downside is make sure you get yours ordered. So if you see a book that you really like, I can't stress it enough. Go online or go to your local comic shop and make sure you order that, because if not, you could walk out empty-handed if you think you're picking it off the shelf.
Yeah. So order multiple copies if you can afford it. And definitely push those numbers up, because we want to see more amazing books like Only the Savage Are Left from Dark Horse Comics.
Thank you, guys.
So that being said, on behalf of Rich and myself, thank you again for watching another edition of Fanlight Zone Presents. We'll see you next time.